Poll everywhere. Building rapport, assessing learning. I love talking shop with faculty because even though I'm a librarian, I spend far more time engaged in group and individual instruction than I do in traditional library work, aka minding the books. So when we talk about the rewards of teaching, I totally hear you. And when we talk about the difficulty of connecting with students and getting a feel for where they are academically, you're preaching to the choir. One of the greatest challenges librarians face is understanding the very population we exist to serve. If the challenge isn't immediate, let me put it in perspective. A typical course runs 8 to 16 sessions. That gives you 24 contact hours to find out what your students know, how they prefer to learn, and to teach the course. I'm not saying that this is a lot of time, but it's a luxury compared to what librarians get. If we're lucky enough to get faculty to bring their classes to us, we get somewhere between 50 and 120 minutes per session. Once. So, given these limitations, how do we generate the kind of rapport that keeps students engaged and motivated to return for help as the need arises? While it won't build a bridge on its own, Poll Everywhere is a really great place to start. So what is it? Poll Everywhere is an instant audience feedback system. You ask a question via the web, and your audience can respond via the web, text, or even Twitter. At Whistler Library, we started using Poll Everywhere to get a better idea of how our students were or weren't using our resources. The goal was to use the data to better target our marketing efforts, to improve existing services, and to add additional services where needed. While it certainly helped with that, it's done much, much more. It's helped us to build rapport with our students by being a really great icebreaker. As you can see, open-ended polls are an invitation to silliness, and that's okay. Humor goes a long way in establishing positive associations, which is especially important for libraries because we're pretty much seen as the Debbie Downer of campus. Now, I don't have any hard data to offer, but I value Poll Everywhere's ability to inject a sense of playfulness into my lessons because I've noticed a trend. The more we laugh during the polling segments of class, the more willing students are to participate during the subsequent lesson. I also value Poll Everywhere because it's a tool that helps me learn a lot about my students in a very short amount of time, which is great because I don't have that much time to begin with. No two classes are the same, and when I have to make adjustments, I have to make them on the fly. So in about 5 minutes, I can tell what portion of the class has completed a substantial research paper, where students obtain their information, and what they find difficult about approaching the research project. Knowing all of this going into the lesson helps me to prioritize. Sometimes it's not about showing the students that a database exists and how to use it. Sometimes I find that the barrier is convincing students why they should use a database instead of Google or Wikipedia. Poll Everywhere helps me figure out where my students are coming from so that I can make the most of my time in class. We also use Poll Everywhere in the Pro-Con-a-thon, a gamified information literacy session presented to the FCWR 101 sections. After a short presentation, students are given 2 tasks. These teams are asked to generate keywords and draft Boolean searches for a given topic, and then they're asked to find a specific source using a specific database. Teams then have to evaluate their source using the CRAP method, and then they must choose a spokesperson to explain to the class how the team evaluated their source. Using Poll Everywhere, the class is then asked to score the team on how well they evaluated their source. A point is awarded for every aspect of the CRAP criteria correctly addressed in the team's evaluation. In case you were wondering, the CRAP method involves asking students to judge the appropriateness of a source for a given task based on a couple of criteria. And those criteria include currency, relevance, accuracy, authority, and purpose. The real magic happens when the numbers start rolling in after the evaluations. Even though I rarely award a prize, the impact of being publicly underscored ignites teams' sense of competitiveness, and as a result, a sense of accountability. Teams are extremely unhappy when they receive 1 point and they think they deserve 5. They will vehemently argue their case by drawing on material from the lesson. So while they have their minds set on winning, they're actually reinforcing what they've learned without even knowing it. And even when they're not sure why a particular team earned a particular score, it gives me an opportunity to reiterate and reinforce all the aspects of evaluating a piece of information. If nothing else, I hope that I've sparked your interest in Poll Everywhere. Not only is it a really fun tool that can help you break the ice with your students and build rapport with them, it also has the potential to change the way you teach while you're teaching. So I hope that you will give it a try, and happy polling!